What's up, yo? I'm back again. This time in my kitchen. I'm gonna cut up some ballistic gel so that way I can reuse it. So I have a double boiler set up, pot of boiling water. Let me turn this back on. So this is hot, and I have a glass Pyrex bowl sitting on top to make the double boiler. Here is the ballistic gel that I want to redo over. I mean, it's been sitting in my fridge for about a week and a half. But it started getting hot and crunchy in the corner because I haven't used it yet. So what I want to do is I want to take this out of here, cut it up, and then remelt it back down in the double boiler. So let's see if I can get this out of the mold. Shouldn't have a problem. Boom. There's that. And I'm going to use this. This is like a refrigerator container from Lowe's. I got it for like 20 bucks. You know, it's a pretty good mold here. Here's what the gel block looks like. So this is about 32 ounces of Knox Gelatine. So I made two batches. I made one about a month and a half ago. You know, used the 16 ounces of Knox with the 16 cups of water, but I think I did 15 cups of water, 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide. And I made another gel block maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later, doing the same recipe, and then I just mixed them both together. So this gel block here, at its oldest, is about a month and a half old now. And besides it getting crunchy on the top, right in the corner there, that's how I know I haven't used it, but I figured let me melt it back down and make another gel block out of it, and hopefully I'll be able to get out there and use it. So again, that's a month and a half old. There's no rot, there's no mold, and I'm just gonna cut it down and reuse it again. So let's get started. Most likely, if I can figure out how to do a fast forward or speed up the footage here, then that's what I'm gonna do. But first, I need a spatula. Just so I can mix the gel once it's cut up. So I already have the water boiling. I already have that heated up. So now it's just a matter of all the time of cutting this up. And let's get this started. I usually do this on another table, so I'm not near the stove, but my kitchen's pretty small. So I'm just going to do this here. So we'll start with that. Just got a bowl here. So that way, I'm going to put this in the bowl back here. I got like 3 or 4 bowls here that I'm going to use for this gel block. This knife ain't the sharpest either. I just tried to sharpen it, but cut this last piece. Alright, so let's move you out of the way. A couple bowls. Alright, so now what we do here, just cut this in little blocks. because it's Jello, these things fucking bounce everywhere sometimes, so. And I'm going to start tossing stuff into this water soon. Into this double boiler soon. It is hot enough. I just want to get a bunch of pieces cut up. That way, you know, while it's melting, I can cut some more. The smaller the blocks, the better it'll melt. But right now, I'm just kind of trying to go a little quicker here. Again, working from home. No calls are coming in, so I might as well get something done. This knife is like wicked dull too. It's like my beater knife. Tried to sharpen it before I started, but this thing is almost like a lost cause just using like knife sharpeners. That's the first bowl. Just put this to the side. A couple more pieces. You're still recording. Hopefully I'll be able to get this done before all the batteries die, and well, before the 2 batteries I have die in the camera that I'm filming with now. That's why I'm moving fast too. That's my dishwasher. This is pretty much it. You just cut it, melt it back down, and then you pour it back into the mold. So I'm going to start melting this piece here, and then I'll finish cutting the rest while that one's melting. Just take this, plop it right in there, just like that. That's what this is for, so you'll just mix it up when it starts melting. So that'll buy us a little time here. It'll let me finish cutting up some of these pieces. I hate the smell of this stuff too. Horrible. Just throw those in there. This. Work smarter, not harder, right? Make it easy on myself. Get out a quick rinse. I'll toss you in there. And here's like one of the hard, crunchy pieces. When it starts drying out, you could just remelt that right back down. Don't even have to throw it away. If you, like I did one a couple weeks ago, when I redid this one, the older block had probably like an inch thick hard shell. It dried up about an inch deep on the top of it. Those are the first pieces I threw into the pot. Just let them things melt down. And then they were bubbly because it was hot. It was like dried out, but besides that, it melted down like any other piece. Bowl will get hot. I got a couple of oven mitts there too. But basically it's just starting to melt down. I don't know if the camera's focused well enough to see it, but once I finish cutting these, I'll readjust the camera. Hot in here. So it's almost melted down. Again, here's another piece. It's got the crunchy top. I don't know if it's showing that. Like I said, I'm cutting these quick. Usually I would cut these into smaller pieces. But when I'm filming, I don't have a lot of time. Dropped a few more. They probably bounced halfway across the house. This is the last piece to slice up, and then I can focus on just melting the rest down. Alright, so now we are done with the chopping board and done with this knife. Alright, so I'm going to bring you a little closer now that we got everything chopped up, so bear with me here. Hopefully I don't drop this in the sink or anything, but so there is the double boiler doing its thing. And if I show you, those first few blocks are already melted down. Now I just basically try not to splash it because this stuff does get everywhere and it gets wicked sticky. But I basically just throw these blocks in. It takes a few minutes for each little batch to melt down because this did just come out of the fridge. So I'll be right back. Just want to check my email, make sure no one's sending me any messages. Also got a computer I'm rebuilding behind me too. Just an old Dell. Just installed Windows 10 on it. I'm just running updates on that. Old desktop. I'll probably end up throwing it on Craigslist for like 125 bucks. I got 4 of them down there that work. I just gotta run the updates on them. So those gel blocks I just threw in, they're probably about halfway melted. And again, these are bigger blocks, so they're going to take longer. If they were small, they would melt down a lot quicker. Just let that go. I usually fill the bowl almost full once it's melted, and then I'll take it over to the to my sink that's right beside me here, and I'll just pour it into the mold we have. Probably take me about 3 of these bowls to melt down. Just checking the battery on this. So I just got to pay attention because this camera's set at when I record at 1080p, it'll record for a half hour at a time and then shut itself off. So I also got to make sure I'm watching the battery too, so the battery doesn't die. I do have a spare battery that I could throw in here if it does die. So now I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. Let the heat get in there. So we ended up with the big blue bowl. We got almost full green bowl. And 2 full white bowls here. And like I said, I had the mold in the sink. So once this bowl gets filled, I'll pour this into the sink. I mean, pour this into the mold into the sink, and then we'll start another bowl. Let that sit for a minute. Get me some coffee. Some iced coffee. So these are almost melted down. More in here. Mix those in, let the heat melt those down a little bit. And since I'm here, I might as well show you this too. If you remember from last week, my little 5-inch mold that I shot the SIG MPX into. You know, when I was done with that, I plopped the pellets out. And I just filled like a bowl like this with some hot sink water, and I just set that in there and probably filled, you know, refreshed the hot sink water maybe 2 or 3 times with this just sitting in the middle of it, and it melted it down. And I just threw it back in the fridge. There's some bubbles on the top, but aside from that, it's ready to go. My little itty bitty, you know, ballistic block. And then I have this other small one that, you know, it's dried out on the top, so I'll probably toss this in there. I had this because it wouldn't fit. Let's see if I can rip it. There we go. I'm going to put this in one of the other bowls so that way it'll at least heat up to room temperature and won't cool off this, you know, this batch right here. We'll throw that in there too. So there's still some big chunks in here, those new chunks I tossed in. I'll have to give that a few more minutes. But again, this gel block, the oldest, probably half of this gel block, the oldest is about 1.5 months. And then the rest is about a month old now. I haven't been able to really use it, so every week and a half, I don't know if I already said this, but every week and a half I just melt it right back down, put it back in the fridge. Hopefully me and my daughter don't move the fridge too much while it's, you know, setting. Because if it's kind of in a middle set stage, it'll make a wave in the gel and then it'll freeze there and you'll have these waves at the top. And it won't be perfectly smooth. But yeah, it will, like, I don't cover it, I just leave it open like that in the fridge, and then, you know, after about a week and a half, it will start to harden up around the edges. Another week and a half, and you'll have a nice little crunchy layer on the top. And it'll just keep drying out from there. So, let's throw some more back in here. So, I would say this batch is 32 ounces of Knox Gelatine, 30 ounces of water, 30 cups of water, and 2 cups of hydrogen peroxide. There goes my dishwasher. So I'm just gonna throw the rest of the bowl in here. One bowl done. Get this white bowl. Bowl 2. Check my email. Still installing on Windows 10 computer. Check my Gmail. I had to check YouTube too, see if there's any new air gun videos out there. Nothing yet, so I'll keep an eye on that. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the gel blocks just sliding off the spatula here. Just mix that down. So this bowl is almost ready to go into the mold. After this handful here, we'll get it into the mold, and then we'll start the next bowl. Because there's a lot of gel blocks in here, so it'll probably take another couple minutes to melt down. We're at 22 minutes. And almost half battery. Don't mind my messy kitchen. I actually tried to clean it up a little bit before I started this. I'm just a little too lazy to be going all that out. Going out that much. So, whatever I was trying to say, I have no idea. I just stuttered my way through whatever the hell I was trying to say. It's almost ready. It's cool because you could actually see the gel blocks in here because they're like little, they almost look like ice cubes in there. When this is completely clear, melted, and you drop a nice clear block, you can't even see it. You can feel them when you mix them, but you can't even see them. I can now because it's foggy. It's a little, some like bubbles on top. Not much, but. A few more minutes and this will be ready. And then we'll dump in the next handful to start the melt. Start melting them. And I like to start with a few small, like a handful or two, just to get it melted down, and that way not only the steam and the boiling water underneath, but the heat of the melted gel will help melt the blocks too. Looks like a few of the top pieces that were dried out are still in there floating around, because they do take longer to dry. I said last time I did those first and let those melt down to liquid before I even started doing the regular blocks. So we'll see how this comes out. I can still see a couple of blocks in there floating around in the middle, like I said, like ice cubes. I could probably use a strainer, you know, a wire strainer, a mesh strainer, whatever it's called, screen. Probably to like strain this, and if there's any of those gel blocks in there, the chunky ones, I can just put them back in and let them melt down. We'll see. This is almost ready to pour. We're at 25 minutes. I'm gonna let this sit for a couple more minutes just to get those last little straggler blocks that are floating around in there. And iced coffee. It's like a piece of seasoning in here. If I can get it out. Probably not. Alright, I think this is pretty much ready. Put them over there. I think this is ready to go. We are at 27 minutes, half battery. Let's do this. And here is the melted jelly. So now I'm going to pour this into this gel block. That's my little mold there. Like I said, I got that from Lowe's. It's just a refrigerator container. Basically what I do is and now it's ready for the next handful. Alright, so I'm back. I just poured the first bowl into the mold. There's some there's a bunch of bubbles on top, but those will go down. So let's just toss these in here. Actually, let me get these pieces that were dried up on that. So this was that tiny little gel block I made with the, it was dried out on top a little bit, so we'll just toss those in there. Because those are kind of big, it will take a few minutes to melt down. Let me go get the other battery ready so if this dies. Gotta have a spare battery. Windows 10 still installing. It's at 80%. Again, because those pieces are pretty big, I didn't cut them small. It is going to take a little longer for them to melt down. So we'll just let that do its thing. throw a few more in there just because once we can get all these heated up and melted, then we'll be able to put bigger handfuls in. And we wait. And while we're waiting for that to melt down, I might as well just give this a quick little stir, see if we can kill some of those bigger bubbles there. They will go away. That's it. We'll sit here. Probably another 10 minutes we'll be able to get the second bowl in here. Go back over here. See, they thinned out a little bit. Again, once it's in the fridge, those bubbles will evaporate. So I'm not really worried about that. So these are almost melted down. Now they're about the size of ice cubes. Let's see if I can. Yeah, wicked slippery. I don't know if you could see that one. So let's get some more in here. That's got a little crunchy piece on top. Coffee's gone. No email here. Yeah, I have a second camera over here. I think it's a Canon SureShot S120. That's my secondary camera. The one I'm shooting on right here is a Sony. What the hell is this one? It's a Sony RX100, the version 5. So this is the one I use to shoot my slow motion, or when I'm kind of doing a selfie of myself shooting. This is the camera I use. This is my main camera. And then I got the SureShot 120, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, month and a half ago, and that's my secondary camera. And then I have 4 GoPros that I bought off of eBay. I think they were like 35, 40 bucks a piece. You get 1080p. I think 3 of them are 1080p, 30 frames per second. And then I got those are the GoPro Heroes, like the second generation ones. And then I think I got a GoPro Hero Plus with the LCD screen on the back, second or third gen. And that one does 1080p with 60 frames per second. I usually use that one for like when I do my my chronograph, or when I give you selfies of my ugly ass mug when I'm shooting, that's usually the one I'm using there. Alright, so these are almost melted. Let's get some more. Hopefully the steam from this isn't. So this camera is about to die, so if it cuts off, it died, and I'll swap the battery and I will be back. But until I see it dead, I'm just going to keep on babbling and tossing stuff in here. Let's get this mixing. But that's pretty much, you know, that's kind of my camera setup. The Sony, the Canon, and 4 GoPros. GoPros, you know, at $30 to $40 a piece, you can kind of put those right up close to your targets if you want close range. And the way I saw it is if I hit one of those for 30 bucks, you know, and I hit that, I could deal with that. Hit this with a pellet, I mean, even though I do have it up close during slow motion shots, but this would hurt. Hitting this Sony, well, hitting that Canon, the Sony would hurt the most, Canon the second, and then the LCD GoPro would be third just because it was maybe $40 to $45. So I'm just keeping an eye on the battery. But that's pretty much it. This is how we make the mold. I don't think I'm going to give you a shot of my fridge, because it is kind of messy. I'm just going to dump all these in here. This is the last of this second bowl here. Done. So, two bowls down, 2 bowls to go. We have 2 more. So we'll do a smaller bowl. Again, I'm just keeping an eye on the battery here. Once I swap batteries, we'll be good for the rest of this journey here. But that's it. That's, you know, remelting the ballistic gel is wicked easy. This is all there is to it. Making it is a little more pain in the ass, a little more messy. But I started making it a new way. I used to just boil the water and then pour it into the mold and then sit there with a blender and blend up the jello slowly in the mold. Made a lot of bubbles, you spilled a lot, you lost a lot. But when it settled, the bubbles would evaporate in the fridge and it would be ready to go. It would be nice and clear and good to go right, you know, the next day. New way I'm doing is I'm mixing it in cold water and it turns into like an applesauce kind of weirdness, I guess you can call it. And then you put that in the fridge for a few hours, and then when it blooms, I think it's called, you come back out and you do the double boiler and you take just chunks of that, throw it in here, and it looks like this. And then you pour it into the mold. So what I'm going to do, this camera's about to die, I'm just going to put another handful in. I'm going to kill this camera, swap the battery, and hopefully I can get the same angle here and we'll be back. So let me just get this in here so it melts. Alright, I'm back. So last time I just added those big blocks. They haven't even melted yet. So, and I think we have enough battery to get through the end of this. So let me, while I'm waiting for those big blocks to melt, there's my battery charger. I might as well hook this up and get the whole battery charging. Got my little Sony battery charger here. Just pop this in here like so. I just plug it in. Windows is still installing over there. 97%. These are almost melted. I can still see a few. Those last ones I threw in. See, this one's almost done. Actually, I'm gonna throw more in. I got more room in this bowl. Try to get as much in here as I can while this liquid is hot, so it'll melt the stuff down quicker. See how that does. As you can see, there's a lot of dead time here. I'm just kind of babbling just to fill the space. See how that does. Computer just finished updating to the newest version of Windows 10. Just rebooting that. There's still a few blocks in there. So you just wait another couple minutes. It's like all the big blocks are almost gone. Oh, there's one. So this is almost ready. I'm not sure how the gel block would look with like partially melted gel blocks. I don't know if it'll look weird. I'm not sure if you'd be able to see them in there. We'll just let this go a little longer. This is going to be a long, boring video, but at least you see how this is getting done. So, let me grab the oven mitts. Let's go get this in the mold. Alright, and as you can see, the bubbles did go down a bit. We have this here. Second mold. And now we just brought more bubbles into the thing. And like I said, that's fine. You'll see them pretty much evaporate once it's once it starts setting. Alright, so I just poured that second bowl into the mold. So now we're on the home stretch now. We got this little bit here. And then one more bowl. It's kind of a lot. I don't like dumping that much in there, but I'm getting a little impatient. So we'll just let that melt down. And I'm going to head back over here. So now we're back at the mold. I just dumped the second bowl in here. You can see it didn't make as many big bubbles as that first bowl. And the new hot liquid also melts the first bowl back down again too. So basically we just reset the clock on this from setting. But it's looking good so far. There's that little piece of seasoning. I lost it. There it is. Yeah, whatever. Looks like a little red pepper flake floating around in there, but we'll leave that for now. So yeah, we are definitely at the home stretch. It's hot. So once this melts down, we should be good to go. So we'll give that a couple minutes. That's pretty much almost melted again. Small ice cube size chunks in there. So let's get some of these. And these are now a little softer because they've been sitting out for about a half hour at room temp. So they're not as cold. They should melt quicker. Just keep this going. Another stir. The only thing that I don't like about the mold I use is that it does have a handle, so you kind of have a limit on how far up you can go. Because once you get to those handles, that's it. You know, you try to move it, you might have it splashing out of the handles. I was thinking about using like that duck sail tape or whatever to cover the handles, but I mean, I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, that's fine. That was a good size block. Definitely more than I need. Like I said, I made it. I haven't even really used it. I think I started using the first block I made. We put about 4 shots into it, and that's when the valve pin broke on my HPSS. So I never got any more shots into the gel block. Left it at my uncle's house for about a month. Grabbed it from him out of his fridge, and it had that thick 1-inch crunchy layer on top where it hardened out. And I just brought it home and melted it back down. It wasn't rotted. There was no mold. He did nothing with it. It just sat in his fridge. So pretty much where I put it, it stayed there. And it just dried up in there. Was able to reuse it, no problem. Let's get some of this last in here. Oh, that grease feels good. See, I like to cut the pieces up to about that. You know, well, small squares, even a little smaller than this. Not this big chunks or, you know, these big, they just take too long to melt. Let that sit for a minute. Alright, the computer I was building is done. Shutting that down. And we're almost done. That's the last of it right here. I should be able to fit all that in this bowl. Like, look at the size of this piece. Whoop, whoop, where you going? That's huge. And that's it. I think there's a couple slivers in here. This stuff is so sticky. So once that's melted down, the rest of this will go into the mold and then into the fridge. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to set up another computer real quick. So I'm just going to let this sit here and melt down. I'll be back in a minute or two. Okay, just letting that boot up. Almost done. Those pieces are almost melted. They're about maybe the size of an ice cube in there now. Oh, one of these computers want to give me problems. Worked a week ago, now it wants to act up, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. This is pretty much done. Couple small little pieces, another maybe a minute or two, and this is done. Yeah, I think this is just about it. Alright, let's get this ready for the mold. Just had to get that computer going. that's a wrap. Let's get this in the mold. Here's the last batch. Alright, so now we have this last bowl here. As you can see, the bubbles actually didn't get too bad that time. So kind of more on a flat surface. So let's get this last bowl in here. I gotta make sure it doesn't go over the handles. Ooh, just about perfect. As you can see, the bubbles are almost gone. So that mold is done. I just gotta find a, get a place in the fridge. I mean, I have plenty of space. My fridge ain't full. And that's pretty much it. That's a wrap. There it is. So let me see what I can do here. Oh, just banged my head. And there it is. Looks cloudy now, but it will clear up once it's in the fridge and set. But that's it. That mold is done. Okay, so we have one last step to do. So we melted it down. We cut it gel block into pieces. We melted it down with a double boiler. I have it sitting in the mold right now. Next step is to get it in the fridge. So don't mind my messy ass fridge. Let's get this in here. Hopefully I can get it in here without making a huge mess. Final product. Oh, I made a mess. Just spilled some on the floor. Hopefully I don't step in it. Ugh. And boom. Here it is. Now I'm going to let that sit for at least 24 hours and we're good to go. And that's the end of this episode of Chemo's Kitchen. Brought to you by Keygen Productions. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this helps. Now you know how to reuse your homemade ballistic gel block. One last time. That was 32 ounces of Knox Gelatine, 30 cups of water, 2 cups of hydrogen peroxide, and that block there is at least a month and a half old. No rot, no mold. It just dries out and you just remelt it down and remold it. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed.